and my next guests have joined me in the studio. We have playwright Sabawi and director Wahibi Moussa joining us to talk about Tales of a City by the Sea, which is on at La Mama Theatre, and it's very rare that independent theatre is talked about in the Victorian Parliament, but this production has been talked about in Parliament, it's been talked about on radio, it's something of a cause célèbre at the moment, and having seen the production in its original 2014 season, I've been listening to some of the heated debate around it, thinking, they've not seen the play. They've not read the play. They're just jumping on a bit of a bandwagon, I think. So,
but thank you for putting us in the Hansard and, putting us in historic documents forever. That's really pretty much appreciated.
Palestine loves you.
So, Samah, let's start with you. You've written this play, which,
yes,
as I said, was originally presented at La Mama in 2014. And what was unique about that production was that it was also presented simultaneously elsewhere. So talk to us about this quite dramatic and potent story.
Well, the story is about so many things, really, but I write it as a Palestinian in diaspora who's pretty much connected to Gaza, my home city, and to my family and loved ones in Gaza. And so a lot of the stories that get told in these, in the Tales of a City by the Sea, are based on real life stories that I've experienced or my loved ones have experienced over the years. And so as the script was being written, and as it was being developed, it just occurred to me, and I think we were talking with Rand Hazza, we were talking about collaboration with Palestine theaters at the time, and it occurred to me it would be a wonderful thing to do to connect Palestine, Gaza, and the West Bank, as well as Australia, into this three-city collaboration of putting on a production simultaneously and opening it on the same night. And then really life forced its own reality on us just 2 months before we started 2 months before we started the production, when we were looking to do the casting. That's when the 2014 war happened in Gaza. And so our production team in Gaza was hit pretty hard. 2/3 of the city was reduced to rubble as a result of the 51-day bombardment. And members of our production lost loved ones. They lost relatives. They lost precious things. My production manager, Ayel Zinati, lost her entire office and all her artwork, and some of it was done for the play. She was working on a poster. She was putting together a film. So it was devastating. So it never happened in Gaza. In the West Bank, we still continued, and we were determined to put on the play here and in the West Bank. But just a week before opening night, the West Bank camp, Aida refugee camp, where the play was to take place, fell under some really harsh curfews and incursions by the Israeli army, which interfered with the play opening on the same night. So the play in the West Bank opened a week after we opened here. And so the story of the production itself became a story of its a story worth telling. Yeah.
Well, it's instead of art replicating life, it became life replicating art.
Yeah.
In some ways. So,
and there was this one night when they opened, and Wahibi stood up and spoke to the audience, which was something that we wasn't planned. I don't know if she wants to talk about it, but we had to share with them that our colleagues in the West Bank are finally able to open tonight. And Wahibi said some really beautiful words on that night.
Now, Wahibi, you were acting in the original production. Now you're directing the production, so which must be give you a fascinating perspective, because you've performed these words, you've helped bring them to life, and now as a director, you're having to a degree to honour that original production and the original director's intent, while yet bringing something fresh and new to the production as well.
Yeah, it's, I have to say, directing is, to me, a real natural fit. I hadn't thought at all of directing anything of this kind of, in my mind, magnitude, because it is a big play. I mean, it's a small play in that it's an independent piece, but it's also a big play in that there are so many people involved. There are 8 actors one singer. We have 3 producers, a theatre designer, 2 stage managers, and you can imagine the conversation lines were just rocking around the city. So that's not something I would have chosen, but when Samah asked me, I jumped at the chance because I love this place so much. And I had ideas. Of course I had ideas. And I immediately felt actually that my role this time around was to actually, the first season was very much about the structure of the play. Giving it a structure, putting it on in a way that allows the poetry to flow without it falling into what's the word I'm thinking of? It becoming too emotional. So when Lech came up with this wonderful kind of Brechtian structure of alienation and the actors being actors, storytellers who are coming to tell you a story and who are going to sit with you and tell you the story, that just felt absolutely wonderful and natural, and I didn't want to muck around with that at all. And because for me, I feel like I am a Brechtian actor in my way, because I come from that lineage. The theatre style of the Middle East tends to have that alienation aspect to it. So it was a natural fit for me. So that was great, and it worked. This time around, I felt that we had the luxury of going further into the story and looking into the interior, the emotional life of the story and the characters, and looking at their connections with each other. Also, I had 4 new actors that needed to be brought into the story, and as well people who hadn't necessarily had much to do with the politics of that region. And of course, you have to do that research. You have to know what you're talking about and what the people in the story, what their everyday life experience is. So I've actually. It's been a great experience to go through that research again, for me to rediscover things that I had started to take for granted, things that I know that other people, for them it was the first time that they discovered it. And it's been amazing to watch Emina Ashman and Helana Sawires, who play Jomana and Lama, the 2 lead female roles, to kind of watch them make the discoveries, all that I had sort of made about 20 years ago, and to come to terms with what it means to be in the situation of Jomana and Lama, and to have to make the decisions that they have to make. And I do feel like I know that those discoveries have really gone into their hearts from things that they've told me.
Now, the play Tales of a City by the Sea, which we're talking about, it is obviously a piece of political theatre, but what struck me seeing it was it's not a clumsy piece of agitprop. It's a very deeply affecting personal drama at its heart as well. Tell us about writing these characters and investing the story with the richness of emotion that certainly touched me when I saw it in 2014.
With the writing, I really wanted to honor the people, honor the stories that I was telling. And so it was very important for me to make it as unpolitical as possible. But of course, being Palestinian is within itself as a political statement, as I have learned this morning, for example. Some people who are critics of the play are describing me not as a Palestinian because there's no such thing as Palestine, right? So I am a pro-Palestine campaigner, which I found was very funny and really sad as well, because there's nothing worse than being denied your identity. But having said that, when I was writing the play, I really wanted something to honor the stories of the people that I was telling. And so I wanted to offer a piece of theater that can challenge us and confront us with the realities of how the war has affected the lives of people, and also inspire us about how people cope, how they survive, and the beauty of the human spirit, how we bounce back after every time that we're beaten, and we get on with our lives, and we fall in love, and we have babies, and we have weddings, and the electricity goes out during the wedding, and so we light a candle and continue dancing. These are the stories that I wanted to tell. And so I avoided completely talking about the political or preaching in a political way about what was happening. I think the audience is smart enough to come and watch the play. And if they raise questions as a result of that, and if they want to investigate, then I've done my job as an artist. And the art needs to speak for itself, and it needs to honor the stories that we're telling.
Look, it's been interesting from my perspective watching some of the debate around the play unfolding, and the claims that it's kind of anti-Israeli propaganda, for example, or that it's and I'm particularly fascinated by people being confronted that it's now part of the VCE syllabus, and calls on the government to withdraw it, and the government doesn't choose what goes into the syllabus. Yeah. And if the government were to censor what went into the syllabus, that would be deeply, deeply concerning. And it also fascinates me that some of the critics of the play don't think that high school students, secondary school students aren't intelligent enough to watch the play, read the play, and question it for themselves. It's not like they're being spoon-fed. Yeah. And I understand the VCE audiences, the sessions for the VCE audiences have already booked out.
Oh, yeah, they booked out a little while back, but now it's now coming. We've now got schools coming into the public bookings as well. Yeah. The kids are coming in and really interested in what goes on behind the production, as much as actually, tell you the truth, they're kids. You know, they're coming to see a show, they get to talk to actors, they get to find out, you know, how does an actor do this, how does a writer do this, and that's what it's about when you're a teenager.
And, you know, they get to see women wearing hijab, being flirtatious and falling in love and wanting to get married.
And being normal.
And being normal. They get to see that no matter what happens to you, you have to be able to get back up again and you know, get on with your life. And they get to see some of the details of the lives of people they see for 30 seconds in news clips.
Wailing and crying
so they,
and screaming.
They get to see the human in the conflict area.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful. And as far as the political message that they might get out of it, is the message might be go and do your research, which is a great message. Go and do your research.
And also on top of that, the beauty of it is they don't just get to see someone wearing the hijab and being flirtatious and being normal. They get to talk to them afterwards when they have taken the hijab off, and they realise, oh, there's a human being under there, and she has long, beautiful hair, and she'll sit there and she'll talk intelligently with us. And the girls actually have come up and asked Amina, how does it feel to wear hijab? Do you mind wearing the hijab? And
Amina, of course, just acting wearing the hijab. But we do have Asil who wears the hijab and doesn't take it off.
And doesn't take it off. Amina is Muslim by she's a Muslim woman, but she is not someone who wears a hijab normally. On very, very special occasions, she will wear it. And she's very happy to talk about it with the girls. And I just love that interaction where the girls who perhaps have come from Muslim backgrounds or feeling that they may have to that maybe there's a pressure on them not to wear the hijab and there's some kind of a shame. I think it's wonderful for them to see a woman in that role and have a very powerful role on stage and in real life as well.
The production is Tales of a City by the Sea. It's on at the Lamama Courthouse in Drummond Street, Carlton, until the 29th of May. Performances at 6:30pm Wednesdays, 7:30pm on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 4pm. Runs for approximately 90 minutes, and you can book by going to www.lamama.com.au or by calling 93476142. And if you'd like some more background about the play, including previous productions, some of the media response to the current season and more, you can go to talesofacity.com.
But hurry, because it's booking fast.
I was just going to say, there's only 3 tickets left for tonight's performance. Friday sold out, so come on, get your tickets, people. Yep, we want to see you there.
It's going to be popular, I can guarantee that. Thank you both for coming onto the program.
Thank you.
Triple R.
For complete access to the Triple R archives, which include over 100 interviews, live-to-air performances, documentaries, and other Triple R specials, become a subscriber via the link on our website. Thanks for listening to Triple R.